Good evening and welcome to tonight's Zoning Board of Appeals hearing. Let me introduce some members of town government that assist this board. To my left is Martin Simon, Assistant Town Attorney. To his left is Barbara Gervais, Attorney to the Board. And to her left is Blaise Donadio, a planner in the Planning Department. You are all here tonight seeking relief from the Smithtown zoning ordinances. And it's our job to try to help you achieve the relief you are requesting whenever possible. It's up to you to provide us with precise, accurate information so we as a board can make a decision based on the facts that you present here tonight. We as a board must consider the following conditions, and they're listed here for you. Number one, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the variance. Number two, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other means. Number three, whether the variance is substantial. Number four, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. And number five, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. Procedures for tonight's meeting. Cases will be called in the order they are advertised. When you are called, please present your certificates of postings and mailings to Mr. Donadio. Then you will be asked to go to the podium. We'll state your name and address for the record, and then proceed to tell us why you need your variance. At the end of your presentation, if anyone in the audience would like to speak on your case, they will be given one opportunity to do so. Then the applicant can come back to the podium to answer their concerns. Once the public hearing is closed, no further information will be accepted concerning the case. There are three ways to find out about your case. You can stay after the hearing, but there's no guarantee that your case will be acted on tonight. You can call the planning office tomorrow, or you can wait and be notified by mail. We do have some adjournments for tonight. The first adjournment is case 17909, April Slatter. That has been adjourned to March 27th. The next case is case 1-17634, William Malland. That case has been adjourned to May 8th. And the last case is case 17889, George Deben. That case has been adjourned also to May 8th.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first case on the agenda is case number 17906, Triple Crown Estates, 54 Florence Avenue, Smithtown. The location of the property, the south side of Florence Avenue, 100 feet west of Jerome Street. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum rear yard from 35 feet to 26 feet. Increase the maximum gross floor area of the lot from 30% to 100% due to high groundwater. Permit environmentally sensitive lands to be altered where depth to groundwater is equal to or less than 10 feet. Permit environmentally sensitive lands to be used to calculate the permitted density, building coverage, and floor area for proposed 2,247 square foot, two-story residence with 430 square foot attached garage.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Michael Morbillo. I'm the architect for the applicant. My office is located at 1650 Sycamore Avenue, Bohemia, New York. I've submitted a power of attorney form, which is under review.
Mr. Chairman, I've just reviewed the power of attorney, and it's not in proper form.
Okay. What's not proper on it?
There were supposed to be initials for grant of authority.
Okay. All right.
Oh, it was just checked. There was just a check mark. A proper power of attorney needs to be initialed.
Okay. What I can do is, if I have to, I can bring in the client to come in before the end of the meeting, if that's necessary. Although I think I've submitted those forms several times before. I think I have it under all other matters, or I can, whatever this board wants to guide me to do, we can do. Whatever, whatever needs to happen.
It's not so much the all other matters as it needs to be initialed.
Okay. Okay.
You can have them come in.
I can have them come in before if we want to hold this case until the end, until, but whatever they're comfortable with.
We can hold it.
We can hear it now, right? You have a problem hearing it now?
You can do that if you want, Mr. Chairman. If you like, you could have it now and just hold it in abeyance, make sure we have that before the end of the night, the initial.
Hear the case now?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Mike, you can do
Okay.
it now.
I'll do it now, and then before the end of the hearing, I'll have them come in.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the application before you was stated in the call of the meeting is for a two-story colonial residence, 4 bedrooms, and with an attached garage. Basically, what we are proposing is it's a new residence where there had been a home previously on the site. My understanding is that the home was demolished some 10 years ago due to fire damage or other damage, and we're looking to construct a new home in its place. One of the calls for the meeting is for, I'll say the environmentally sensitive lands. The area, there's high groundwater throughout the whole area, so we have no choice but to, have to deal with that as part of the application. The actual floor area ratio for the house, not including the environmentally sensitive lands, is 22.3%. So, we are generally within, a reasonable requirement for a piece of property this size. We're not pushing a 30% FAR. The other request is for a reduction in the rear yard. Normally, the property depth is such to support a house of this size, but we need to locate a shallow septic system in the front yard, as is indicated on the submitted survey, and that shallow septic system requires, additional area that a standard septic system does not require. And so we are, pushing the house a little bit further back. Upon review of the neighborhood, you actually see that there's a lot of homes in the neighborhood that have a much reduced rear yard. And for whatever reasons, it's actually part of the character of the neighborhood that for these reduced rear yards. In fact, the original house that was there probably had a setback of about 10 feet from the rear property line, and we're proposing about 26 feet. So, that request we feel is in keeping with the character of the neighborhood, and also since we need to have the space for a shallow septic system, we don't have any other options as far as that. Those really address the main parts of it. As far as, again, the character neighborhood, environmentally sensitive, it's not going to have an environmental impact. It should be above the quality because we're going with an up-to-date septic system, and there's no other means for us to locate the house anywhere else. The matter wasn't self-created because it was a pre-existing lot and there was a home already on it. So if the board has any questions at this time, we'd be more than happy to answer them.
All right, thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application? No. Planning?
No, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Please come up. Could you state your name, spell your last name,
Sure,
and give the address for the record, please?
Thomas Madigan, Madigan. We live at 49 Hallen Avenue in Smithtown. It's a property right behind 54 Florence.
Okay.
Good, okay. Well, first, I just let everybody know, the house itself was demolished about 10 years ago. It's true. The reason it wasn't fire damage, it was a very small one-story house on a slab. And after the woman, Catherine, passed away, the kids decided to sell the home to a builder, and there were so many additions on the home, it wouldn't have met the building code, so the builder demolished the home, and then was going to move forward, had plans approved for a small one-story home on a slab on the property, and then it was built. So for 10 years now, we've dealt with this property behind us, so we'd be thrilled to have it developed and built, but some of the things we've heard kind of concern us because of the high water table, because of the nature of the neighborhood. One of the things is the creation of a crawl space, because that's just digging into the groundwater and just displacing more water into our basement. We've dealt with this high water tables and flooding for 20-somewhat, 30 years. We have French drains, we've raised our property levels, some pumps and such like that, and we know where the waters flow. We've been to the DEC, foiled the information several times, because we were very involved with the lawsuit against ExxonMobil some years back. So we have knowledge of where the underwater streams flow. So we're just concerned that, number one, they're building this crawl space and they have to displace more water, and that they're also moving this property 10 feet closer to us. And then there's also a lot of sweet gum trees. Well, there's a couple on his property, which, as I've been told, suck up a lot of the groundwater, and I'm afraid that now they're going to, in construction, just take down all these trees, and it's just going to, hamper our property that much more. We've dealt with flooding for several years, for many years. For several years now, it hasn't been as bad,
Right.
But the last month or so, it's really been, the pumps have been going. So now that they're going to start doing this, we're just very concerned about the crawl space and the moving of it closer, and then the digging up to the septic tanks, because in our neighborhood, all the newer construction of two-story homes, they've all had raised front yards where the septic tanks were placed there above grade. So I don't know why this is a two-story home, the septic tanks are being sunk. It just isn't what we've seen over the last few years, last 15, 20 years construction. And as far as keeping with the character of the neighborhood, with the small backyards, that's true, but this whole neighborhood originally was built back in the 60s as a summer neighborhood. So it's even 40s, I'm sorry, but all small cottages. So to have a two-story colonial pushed 10 feet closer to us, it's just, number one, the water concerns us. Number two, the matter of privacy, quite honestly.
Right.
All right, so. But we're happy to have it built on, because we've been dealing with mosquitoes and rats and vines growing over our yard. So it would be great to have it finally developed. Just, I think,
All right.
those are our concerns.
Okay,
All right?
great, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Want to come up, please? Good
Hi.
evening.
Hi, my name is Breanna Braceros. We actually live in the house
Could
directly.
you spell your last name, please, for the record?
Braceros.
Thank you.
We live in the house directly across the street, and our concern is, as the previous gentleman said, is the house that was there was a small house. We would love the land to be built on there. We just bought a house and right across the street, and we would love it to be built on, and so we didn't have to see all of this. Like he said, the house before was a smaller house. They want to go to a two-story house in this small lot. Now, that's concerning with parking, because they're going to put a big house on this small property. So is there going to be room for parking on the property, or are they going to take up street parking? Our street is not a big street, it's a dead end, and we want to have a family there, and we are very concerned with all these cars that will be coming in and out up and down this tiny block. As well as it's going to be a very large house, and we're going to have to look at it every day. That's mostly our concerns, is with the issue with the parking and how large the house is going to be compared to the houses around it and what was there before.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Would you like to come back and answer their concerns?
Okay, so just to address some of the concerns from the first gentleman that came up, that's behind. Certainly, I'm familiar with the area. Everybody's familiar as far as the groundwater issues. I know that they did dredging some years back, helped with the water table, but that's certainly always a concern. My experience doing another home for this builder in the area was, we did have a crawl space. We kept it, 3 feet above the water table. Did not have an impact on the neighboring houses as far as, runoff or water collection or other things. I haven't heard about the trees as far as that having an impact on as far as the water table. I mean, the water table is a massive element. So, I know that there's low, fluctuations sometimes block by block, but our intent is that we're actually going to be adding in drainage. We're providing dry wells. Not sure about the other homes, but we're not looking to have any berming. That's why we're spreading out this as a shallow system in the front yard. In hand with that, the second lady that had come up talked about the parking. We are proposing a side entry garage on the house, so we're looking to provide as much off-street parking as possible. Actually, by bringing the driveway up alongside of the house, we can keep as many cars as possible out of the front yard. Certainly, never any parking on the street. And again, my experience we're not generating that much more traffic based on whatever was there in the past. So certainly we're, as I stated before, not to restate it, we are well below what should be a floor area ratio for a piece of property this size. So we're not looking to make a McMansion or something. It's your typical kind of run-of-the-mill 4-bedroom colonial. So the size and scale, environmental impact, we're looking to do things that are going to improve the groundwater situation by providing storm drainage runoff for the roofs and the gutters and driveways, and certainly the septic system is going to be a well-adequate septic system. So that's all I have to add. If you have any other questions.
The garage, is it a 1-car or 2-car?
It's a 2-car garage, and again, we have it as a side entry. And if we look at the survey, I'll say that is there some flexibility in the design? I think there probably is a little bit of flexibility in the design. The flexibility is such that we have this side entry garage, so we looked always to maintain a certain side approach on it. We might be able to move the house about 5 feet closer to the street if it meant that we came in with a front entry garage. However, that kind of limits, it gives you a little less parking space because of the depth of the property. So, that's something that for consideration. The builder had wanted to do a side entry garage. So, if this board sees that as an issue, I'd say from a design standpoint, we maybe have about 5 feet to work with if we do a little shifting and maybe rotate that leaching field. We could probably get an extra 5 feet or so. So just for your consideration, depending on how you look at the application.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
What's the minimum you need for the side entry?
Usually it's, they want 35, and maybe Blaze can speak on that. We're at 36. So
And you need 5 feet from that septic tank?
we need, from the house, we need 5 feet for a crawl space, Yeah, so we have it, right now, we show 5 feet off of the porch because the health department likes to see it 5 feet from all structures, so we don't like to play it that close because we have a small front porch there, so.
So if we shifted this, I guess, to the east and north, we could pick up about 5 feet?
Could probably pick up about 5 feet, and Blaze would have to confirm with me I know in some cases.
Oh, there's a front yard setback.
Yeah,
What's the
for the-
front yard setback in that zone?
It would be 25.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you'd be fine.
Yeah, we'd be fine. My question would be forgive me, if we do, I know in some cases we've done a 30-foot side yard, but is that a variance request to do that? To do that? Okay.
For a side entry garage.
For a side entry garage?
Not for a front
Not for
facing
front,
garage.
yeah, yeah. Because I know in some cases we've gone as little as 30 feet for a side entry garage, and again, I think that's just balancing. The other homes in the neighborhood being further back from the street, they do have bigger driveways. So, it's kind of like a balance. I was looking at it as a balance of the character, like, all right, a lot of the homes are set further back, keep this in line within, so it works considering we need the septic system. But, if the board looked at it differently and they said, hey, you know what, you're just not going to have that, maybe that two-car length in the driveway, which is what we'd have, we'd be a little bit tighter to the edge of pavement. So it's a little bit of a balance on it.
All in the interest of trying to grant
Yeah.
the minimum variance.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, thanks, Mike.
All
sure.
right, thanks, Mike.
Thank
All
you.
right, can I have a motion to close this application, please?
So moved.
Second?
Already moved in second, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 17907, Carmen Gallego, 59 Winston Drive, Smithtown. Excuse me, the location of the property, the east side of Winston Drive, 707 feet south of MacArthur Lane. The property is zoned R21. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 16 feet to 14 feet, which is existing, for a proposed 398-square-foot second-floor addition, and to reduce total side yards from 34 feet to 31 feet for a proposed 611-square-foot attached garage.
Good evening.
Good evening. Christina Bravin, Morano Expediting, 4 Hamilton Court, Quorum. Agent for the owner, Carmen Gallego.
All right, one second. All right,
The power's fine.
okay.
Okay. Okay, good evening. We are requesting permission to construct a second-floor addition holding a minimum side yard setback of 14 feet instead of the required 16 feet, and proposing to construct an attached garage holding a total side yard of 31 feet instead of the required 34 feet. Currently, the dwelling exists at 14.6 feet, and we are looking to maintain that with the proposed second-story addition. So we will not be encroaching any further into the side yard that the house already encroaches. The proposed garage addition will also incorporate a mudroom and stairs down to the unfinished cellar, and these setbacks are similar to other homes in the area. This house has been vacant for quite some time. It then went into foreclosure until our clients purchased it in December 2017. And the proposed renovations will be a huge improvement, definitely be an asset to the neighborhood, and we don't feel it will have any adverse impact. And the house will remain with 3 bedrooms total. And if you have any questions, I have a full set of plans I'll be happy to answer.
All right, thank you. Does anybody on the board have any questions? No. Planning, any questions?
No, thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Can I have a motion to close this application, please?
So moved.
Second?
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next case is case number 17908, Justin Nash, 48 Bennett Street, Kings Park. The location of the property, the south side of Bennett Street, 100 feet west of Cedar Street. The property is owned RM7. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce total side yards from 18 feet to 15 feet, which is existing, for a proposed 224-square-foot first-floor addition, 224-square-foot second-floor addition, and a 260-square-foot existing roof-over patio.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jack Roseberry.
Is this gentleman the applicant?
This gentleman is the
Could I have
applicant.
him first, please?
Sorry, say it again.
Could I have him first?
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. Could you state your name and the address for the record, please?
Good evening. My name is Justin Nash, and I live at 46 Bennett Street, Kings Park.
Thank you. You would like this gentleman to speak on your behalf?
I would, please.
Fine, thank you. Could you state your name, spell your last name, and give your address for the record, please?
My name is Jack Roseberry, Rosebery. I am an architect. Office is in 93 Main Street, West Sayville, New York. This application is for the construction of a proposed 2-story, 24-foot by 9-foot addition and we are remodeling the first floor. The proposed two-story addition covers the footprint of the existing one-story section of the house and continues to the rear of the residence. It does not encroach further onto the existing side yard setback line. The existing one-story structure will be removed, and the new structure will be built on that partial foundation and additional work to the rear. The current zonings are RM7 residence. I have submitted photographs of the subject site, an aerial of the surrounding area, and a local house at 40 Bennett Street, which is similar construction. As a note, I grew up in this area. My parents lived 200 yards to the north. You can see my parents' house from the subject parcel. Bennett Street is a residential area in the old Kings Park section of the town of Smithtown. The development pattern for this block was established in the 1920s. Pulaski Road, which is a main street, has mixed commercial and residential uses to the south. This area of Kings Park has been developed throughout with Cape Cod and small colonial residences. As such, the addition proposed for this residence is in keeping with the character of the local neighborhood and will not have any significant impact to the area. The area variance for the side yard setback and front yard setback is not considered substantial, as the residence is following the pre-existing non-conforming footprint for the current residence and only expanding slightly to the existing rear yard setback of the residence and towards the front of the residence. The proposed variance will not have an adverse impact on the physical and environmental conditions of the area, as it fits within an established building footprint. We are not adding bedrooms to the residence, as both floors are being reconfigured to keep similar uses. I point out to similar setbacks and construction to be found at 40 Bennett Street, which is approximately 100 feet to the east of this site. The alleged difficulty is only self-created in the notion of that we're requiring the side yard variance. However, we are following the existing setbacks of the original structure with no encroachment. This concludes my presentation. I'm ready to answer any questions of the board.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thanks.
Planning?
No, thank you.
No? Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Have a motion to close this application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is 17910, Mattress Firm, 2061 Jericho Turnpike, Comac. The location of the property, the north side of Jericho Turnpike, 458 feet west of Beechwood Lane. The property is split-zoned NB and WSI. The applicant is requesting variances to increase the maximum area of a ground sign from 32 square feet to 35 square feet. Increase the maximum height of a ground sign from 15 feet to 16 feet. Permit a red illuminated portion of a sign to be within 100 feet from the point of intersection of the nearest street lines, which is Walter Court.
Good evening.
Good evening, Christina Bravin, Morano Expediting, for Hamilton Court, Quorum, agent for the applicant.
The power of attorney's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're requesting permission to increase the maximum area of a ground sign from 32 square feet to 35 square feet. Increase the maximum allowed height from 15 to 16 feet, and permit a red illuminated portion of a sign within 100 feet from the point of the intersection of Walter Court and Jericho Turnpike. This sign structure has actually been in existence for approximately 15 years. It was maintained by Sleepy's. We'd like to maintain the structure, but just reface the sign panels with the new Mattress Firm logo. All Sleepy's have been changed over to Mattress Firm, and we do not have any records that this sign had a permit when it was originally installed, but as I said, it's been in existence for over 15 years, and they'd like to maintain that. In regards to having a red illuminated sign, unfortunately, this is their logo. This is their logo color. It can't be changed. It's only a portion of the sign. It's internally illuminated. Mainly, you'll notice the white Mattress Firm letters. It's not a flashing sign. It's on a timer. On it dusk, off by 11 p.m., and Walter Court is approximately 200 feet away from the ground side itself, if you do the measurement. And if you measure from the closest point on the property line, it's about 85 feet away. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
All right, thank you. Anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
Just one. Do you know if Walter Court is signalized or not?
It's
not. Okay. Thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
No?
Nope, it's not.
Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Can I have a motion to close this application, please?
So moved.
Second. Already moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is 17911, Christopher and Sonia Galletti, 6 Gillette Drive, Smithtown. The location of the property, the southeast corner of Gillette Drive and Sybil Place. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum front yard on Gillette Drive from 40 feet to 27 feet for a proposed 45-square-foot portico. Reduce the minimum front yard from 40 feet to 31 feet for a 530-square-foot first-floor addition, existing 105-square-foot attached garage addition, and a proposed 348-square-foot second-floor addition.
Good evening.
In Smithtown, and this is Mr. Todd O'Connell, my architect, who will speak on my behalf.
Fine, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the board. For the record, my name is Todd O'Connell, architect doing business at 1200 Veterans Highway, Hauppauge, New York. My clients have several requests here, but before I get into the merits of these requests, tell you a little bit about what their goals are and what this property is all about. This is a corner property which creates many hardships because they are burdened with 2 very large front yards. It is also a front-to-back split-level home. So that doesn't give us much of an option in terms of where we could expand on the home itself. If I was to expand to the west side of the house, it would still be a front yard variance as it's a corner lot. So I have to pick a front to expand in order to accomplish my client's goals. So what we're proposing to do is to expand this house out the front towards Gillette Drive. Again, the reason we can't go to the back or make any modifications is because it's a front-to-back split, and we would have to essentially blow the whole house away to accomplish our goals. Our goals are to get a larger living room, dining room, and a larger kitchen area. That's the main goal that we're trying to have, plus gain a 4th bedroom being a master suite on the house itself. So to go one by one, whether an undesirable change would be produced by the character of this addition, no. In fact, there's a very common variance in this immediate community. Directly across the street from them, they were approved for a variance where they went 13 feet. We're looking for 12 and a half. They happened to go 13 feet across the street. And they had the same problem because it was a front-to-back split-level home. That was an interior lot. Again, we have a corner parcel here. So it is a common, variance, and we don't think it's going to create any adverse effect to the surrounding area. There is absolutely no negative environmental impacts to what we're looking to do. We don't think it's, as far as the self-creation of it, again, we're burdened with a corner lot. We're burdened with a front-to-back split-level house. So we have no options but to be before this board. With that said, we'd love to answer any questions this board may have.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No.
Planning?
No, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Come on up, please. Could you state your name, spell your last name, give the address for the record, please?
David Presser, 8 Gillette Drive. I am the next-door neighbor to the Gallettis.
Could you spell your last name, please?
Presser. Excuse me. Good evening. Thank you for your time. As we move through this hearing, I would ask to take 2 considerations into effect. However, I have not seen a rendering. I don't know what their end result is going to look like, and that could be part of a concern that I have. Is there any way that I... Thank you. So...
Can you address the board?
Sorry?
Talk to the board, please.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
This looks gorgeous. I wanted to commend them on the work that they're wanting to start on. I do have some questions, though, regarding the second level. Are there going to be any windows put in that are going to be facing my property?
Why don't you give us all your concerns, and then
So-
we'll bring them back to answer them.
2 years and 1 month ago, I was brought to court by the Gallettis regarding a tree that I had cut down, a storm-damaged tree. 2 concerns came up while we were in court. One of them, privacy, and the other one, a detriment to the value of their home. Long story short, they did not receive any award from the magistrate. I have the same concerns. The concerns exist today with a garage that was finished sometime within the last 4 or 5 years. There were numerous windows that were installed along with a slider. I will not get into the details. And by the way, a full-size slider, 6 foot in height. I have to look at that slider, and I am not going to get into the details of what I've been having to deal with Mr. Galletti in particular over the last couple of years, especially since the magistrate did not order any restitution to them. They were looking for just over $4,300. So I would ask that the board please take into consideration there is an area in the ordinance, in the variance request, about a pre-existing garage addition. Again, I commend them. This looks gorgeous. This looks beautiful, and it's going to be an asset to the block and to the community. But I need to respectfully request of the board, please take into consideration the work that was done 4 or 5 years ago, and I would like to have the slider and all windows that were put in moved to another area of the house. I know their property well. I've been in their house on numerous occasions with the previous owner. I'd like them to do the expansion that they want to do, give them the room that they need, the additional bedroom, do it on the other side of the house so that the slider, the existing windows, and any upper windows, and I really can't make it out from this rendering, that don't face my property on 8 Gillett Drive.
If it's existing, we can't ask them to remove it. They're here tonight just seeking a variance for what you heard.
Okay. So I believe that someplace in this variance, there's an existing finished garage. If you give me a second, I'll get to the exact spot. And that was not there when they bought the house a decade and a half ago. This is work that was done 4 or 5 years ago. I would like to have that removed. I would like to have that put on one of the other 3 areas, 3 sides of the house, a side that does not fit me, that does not face me, sorry. Existing 105-foot attached garage addition. It didn't exist up until 4 or 5 years ago.
This is what he's talking about. 130 square foot.
Self-created,
All right.
and that is it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
The proposed second floor will not have any windows facing his home. There is none on the plans proposed with the plans that are before you, and there will be no windows on that second floor facing his house. As far as the windows in the garage conversion is not before you. That's something he could actually do as of right without a variance, being the garage conversion. The only garage area that's before you is a small garage expanding to the front of the residence where the children could store their bicycles, and which is requiring a front yard exception. There are no windows on that new section of garage facing the residence to the left. And again, the pre-existing garage conversion to be maintained is not before this board, and as far as I understand it, that's as of right. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to close this application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
What's going on?
I don't know if they have it. I don't know what she's asking. He's done a million power of attorneys. Huh?
I don't know if we can get the guy down here.
Yeah, I know.
So we just will render a decision.
We can hold the decision until next week if you want to. Is that what you want to do?
I don't know what they're talking about.
I don't either.
Alrighty. We're good?
Right.
Okay. The next case on the agenda, number 17912, Michelle and Keith Charnelle, 17 Whispering Woods Drive, Smithtown. The location of the property, the west side of Whispering Woods Drive, 554 feet north of Plymouth Boulevard. The property is zoned R21. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 16 feet to 4 feet for an existing 140-square-foot shed with attached 40-square-foot deck and ramp. Reduce the minimum side yard from 16 feet to 7 feet for an existing 16-foot by 30-foot above-ground swimming pool with a 966-square-foot deck. Variance to reduce the total side yards from 34 feet to 23 feet and permit accessory structures in the required side yard.
Good evening.
Good evening. Keith Charnelle, 17 Whispering Woods Drive.
Would you like this gentleman to speak on your behalf?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Again, could you state your name, spell your last name, and give your address for the record, please?
Louis Castellano, Castellano, 2693 Middle Country Road, Lake Grove, New York.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Louis Castellano, and I'm here representing the Charnelles. We're requesting of a reduced minimum side yard from 16 feet to 4 feet for the existing 140-foot shed and a 40-square-foot deck and ramp, and the side yard from 16 feet to 7 feet with the existing 16 by 30 above-ground swimming pool with a 966-square-foot deck. The variance to reduce the total side yards from 34 to 23 feet, and a variance to permit accessory structure on the required side yard. As you know, this development has many retaining walls through it. I do not believe this applicant is, I do not believe it will be an impact on the adjacent property owners. Many homes in the have the same characteristics as this one does. The request is not substantial, because some homes right next door have the same exact thing, which this board granted in December. It cannot be achieved by any other alternative method because it's already existing. It would not have an environmental impact, and the difficulty was not created by the Charnelles. They bought the house in December, and this was existing.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on the board?
No, thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard in this application? Can I have a motion to close this application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you and have a great evening.
You too.
The next case on the agenda, number 17913, Florida Lisa Ingson, 1 Wanda Lane, Hauppauge. The location of the property, the southeast corner of Wanda Lane and Town Line Road. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the setback of an existing 6-foot fence from the edge of road pavement on Wanda Lane from 26 feet to 20 feet. Permit a fence greater than 4 feet in the required front yard for a 6-foot PVC fence.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name is Florida Lisa Ingson, that's I-N-G-S-O-N. I own and live at 1 Wanda Lane, Hauppauge, and just requesting for variance on an already existing 6-foot fence. When we purchased the house, September of last year. And I believe the 6-foot fence appears to be very common in the neighborhood. We love the location in the property, so we hope to be able to keep the fence as is. I have 2 young kids, and we love to play in the on the backyard. So the fence is really just for privacy, protection, security, and also some noise buffer, because it's along Town Line Road, which is very busy. In fact, I found out that I think the violation appeared to happen before we purchased the house, which was, we moved there September of last year, and the violation was made August of last year. So just before, a month before. Also, since we moved, there had been like 2 accidents along Town Line Road, one of which is actually just 2 houses down behind us. Somebody like ran over, our neighbor was moving into the driveway and somebody just ran in, I don't know. So it could have been our property, you know, without the fence, then it could have damaged our property. And if we were to put the fence up from start, we would have done it according to, you know, the town code, in accordance to the town code.
Right. Along Town Line Road, in front of the fence, there's still a row of hedges?
There's actually, yes, some trees along the fence on Town Line Road.
And
yes.
also on the other side too, at the front?
Yeah, just a few, because the front is the Wanda Lane, so, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
That's
Anyone
all.
on the board have any other questions?
No.
No? Planning?
No, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Can I have a motion to close this application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is 17914, sleep number 145 Alexander Avenue, Lake Grove. The location of the property is the northeast corner of Route New York State 347 and Alexander Avenue. The property is zoned SCB. The applicant is requesting variance to increase the number of wall signs from a maximum of 1 to 2.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is William Bonesso. I'm a partner with the law firm of Fercelli, Deegan, and Tirana, 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Uniondale, New York, here on behalf of the applicant Sleep Number. As mentioned by Mr. Donadio, Sleep Number is proposing a second wall sign for its building to be located in the Smith Grove Shopping Center at 145 Alexander Avenue. That, as you know, is a shopping center in the shopping center business zoning district. It's an 8.581 acre parcel of property that is improved with a large building containing an Umberto's, New Balance, Citibank, Aldi Food Market, and Panera Bread, as well as a freestanding IHOP building. The proposed Sleep Number building is presently under construction. It'll have a 2,800 square foot footprint, and it will be situated in the northwest corner of the property near Alexander Avenue and New York State Route 347. That shopping center has approximately 477 feet of frontage along Route 347 and about 444 feet of frontage along Alexander Avenue. The shopping center is, for the most part, surrounded by commercial uses. In addition to the uses in the shopping center, there's the Smith Haven Mall to the south. Directly across the street from the proposed building is David's Bridal, which, by the way, this board has granted the exact same relief for, to have signage on two faces, one facing Alexander and one facing 347. That's the relief we seek. Additionally, the IHOP actually has signs on three sides, a sign facing Alexander, a sign facing 347, and a sign facing the shopping center. If the board wants photos of the David's Bridal, I have them available. So Sleep Number is a mattress retailer that sells adjustable beds, memory foam mattresses, kids' beds, bedding, and other sleep-related items. They currently have 5 stores throughout Nassau and Suffolk County, including one at the Smith Haven Mall. What they've been doing of late is moving their stores to freestanding buildings, such as the proposed premises, in order to create awareness of Sleep Number locations. They've actually done some surveys, and while the people they've surveyed are aware of Sleep Number, the product, and the beds that they make, they're not very aware of where they're located. So they want to have a presence, they want to have visibility in the community, because people buy mattresses very seldomly. The average mattress is bought 8 to 10 years between cycles, and you may pass by a Sleep Number bed and not be in need of a mattress at that time, but it'll register that that's there. And because they sell a unique product, not like the typical spring mattresses, they need that kind of brand recognition and the memory of where they're located. Now, the sign that they are going to put on the building facing 347 is as of right, but there is a fair amount of traffic that goes on Alexander that they also want to be exposed to, and for northbound traffic, especially coming from Jericho Turnpike. So the sign is being requested. Again, it's sign relief that has been granted. Identical sign relief has been granted to David's Bridal on that same street. The sign is proposed to be lit. They'll be open 7 days a week, typical retail hours. The signs would be on timers, and they would typically go on 1 hour before the store opened and turn off 1 hour after the store closes. And other than that, unless the board has any questions, that's our direct presentation.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions?
No.
Planning? No? Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? Can I have a motion to close this application, please?
So moved.
Second. Already moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
For this application.
Funny.
The next case on the agenda, number 17743, GDF Realty LLC, 762 Southern Boulevard, Smithtown. The location of the property, the west side of Southern Boulevard, 100 feet north of the Smithtown bypass. The property is zoned WSI. The applicant is requesting a special exception for a car wash in the WSI zoning district for site work. reduce the minimum landscaped area of a lot from 8% to 1%, reduce the front yard setback from 50 feet to 38 feet, reduce the minimum parking setback from the north side of the property line from 6 feet to 0, increase the number of wall signs from 1 to 2, permit a wall sign not to face a public street, increase the number of awning signs from 1 to 2, and permit an awning sign not to face a public street.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. I first want to apologize for not having a tie on. I lent my tie to Don King this morning, and he refuses to give it back to me. So here I am without a tie. In any event, the last time we were here, we basically presented our case. Carmen Gallego did the site plan. We had an expert in traffic, Pat Lenahan, and also a consultant with respect to Mr. Bell with respect to how car washes should operate. My understanding is, and Carmen Gallego can verify it, that what Mr. Donadio wanted was some comments from the traffic director, Ms. Crowley, with respect to our traffic report. It is also my understanding that Mr. Donadio doesn't have anything from Mr. Crowley.
There may be a memo in the
I
file.
can't hear you.
Memo in the file.
There may be a memo in the file from the traffic director.
No.
No?
I don't think so. This is VHB. No. It would go on top, right?
It should be, yeah.
Should,
No. Nothing.
I know we received a memorandum from Mitch Crowley recently, and it should have been fastened into the file so that the board could review it this evening.
Want me
I
to
don't
look
know
again?
why it's not in the file,
And we never got one in our packets.
and there was no copy in the packets.
Let me go through.
No. No.
No, I don't have one.
I don't have one.
You have one? Nothing.
No. My apologies.
So it's my understanding that there is not a memo. Is that correct?
There is a memo, but
There
we
is a
just...
memo,
we-
but it is
According
not-
to planning, there is a memo. It's supposed to be in the packet. It's not there. It's not in any of our packets, so... we
So
don't
there
have it.
isn't a memo, I guess.
There is a memo.
It's not readily available.
Okay, so I'm not going to ask Mr. Donadio what does it say, because I don't know if he would remember correctly or not. We wanted the opportunity to comment on the memo that Mitch
Crowley.
was going to do for planning, but obviously I can't do that if I don't see it, neither can the board
Right.
even read it. I hate to ask for another adjournment, but unless the board says they will not review that memo, then I wouldn't care about closing the hearing. If you're going to review it, I want the opportunity to look at it, to respond to it, and here we go again.
Can we do the next meeting?
That's next week.
Can we do the next meeting?
Yeah.
Can we do the next meeting?
Next meeting, Martin says the chair
All right.
to read the memo.
For the next meeting, the 27th, next Tuesday?
It's fine with me. Is that okay with you? Alan, I need a yes or a no? Yes. Okay. Okay,
All right?
yeah,
Okay, so
27th.
March 27th.
Thank you.
Need a reminder?
Now I need to find where the hell the memo went off to.
Right here. I
Nancy?
could check again.
Well, I'm coming in on
All
Monday.
right. And that concludes our meeting for this evening.
to get my